So now the Eagles' offense is different. They can run over most teams.
Yeah.
But the 49ers did slow down the Eagles' passing game last week. And so we're going to start with the Eagles' offense, Chiefs' defense, look at what advantages, disadvantages we might have there. So big picture, first of all, with that side of the ball, Eagles' offense, Chiefs on defense in the Super Bowl, what do you think is the biggest advantage that the Chiefs' offense will have in that game? Where can they exploit?
Chiefs' offense, Eagles' defense, or other way around? I was going to say, okay,
Eagles offense.
Maybe I wasn't hearing you around.
Eagles' offense, right? Eagles' offense.
Chiefs' D.
Chiefs' D. What is the biggest advantage that they may have over that Chiefs defense?
I don't think it's a groundbreaking statement here. Again, it still all goes back to one thing with them. It's their line. I mean, this is one of the biggest, most overpowering lines I've ever seen. It's not, they're and they have a little bit of everything. So that's where a little bit of everything, I mean, too, and the fact that, like, scheme versatility. And like we talk about where, sometimes during the year we were like, hey, you can't be right with the Eagles, right? You do this and then they do that, and you do that and then they do this. And it's just like they got to answer for everything. They hit some like dull moments right against the 49ers the other day. 49ers did some different things up front that I think took them a little bit to go, oh, wait, we can't run the plays we thought we were going to run. We got to go to the next group. And then they get to the right run plays. They go, well, that blocking scheme makes more sense for how the liners are lined up. Now, advantage Eagles. And then when you kind of saw late mid-second quarter when they started to run the ball a little bit more consistently, where you started to go, damn, that was kind of a big hole. Ooh. They got to the right run plays as far as what the defense was telling them to do. So that is where you have to stop them. Now, The Chiefs, of course, are not as good as the 49ers on the defensive side of the ball. But the Chiefs do have size up front. They have a blue-chip player that's arguably better than anybody the Niners have. I mean, Chris Jones, Nick Bosa, whatever, those are, all-pro starting defensive linemen. That's all I'm trying to say there. And Chris Jones being in the middle actually might affect more plays in this type of game than maybe a Nick Bosa can. Not to say, or not trying to discredit that. Two athletic linebackers, right? Just like the 49ers. I think that's a big thing, too. Because, again, linebackers need to be like, hey, I'm sitting here. Oh, wait, now I got to get outside and stop Jalen Hurts because he's kept the ball, right? So you got to have speed at that position. And then there's some creativity on that side of the ball as far as Spags. One thing I did see that carried over from week 4 was some of the quarterback design runs. He did some stuff that we've been talking about a lot lately. Some calculated risk, some run blitz. You can't fill all these gaps up perfectly sometimes with how the Eagles line up. So you got to just go, we're not going to let them block us the way they want to draw it up on the board. We're going to do some different stuff, and we're going to blitz this guy off the edge and have people slant this way or that way and just try to mess up their thinking and their execution. Because if you just line up the same way play after play, they're going to win the battle. They're going to. They're too good in that way. So that would still be the number one thing I look at. I don't mean to be boring with that answer, but I think it's just the reality of it.
I do want to get into the run game and what they might be able to do.
Yeah.
But Quentin Freeman has a question for you. Long time Eagles fan here. How did the 49ers slow down the Eagles passing game, or did Hurts not read the throws over the middle?
Hurts didn't play great. I think that would be the first thing I would say. It was not his best game. He didn't throw the ball great. It's hard for me to sit there and think that Jalen Hurts is 100% with his shoulder, right? The ball did not look like it's popping out of his hands with the same authority or the same spin that I've seen throughout the year.
Sure.
So I got to think there's still something there too. Then, I think also the 49ers, they do a good job of kind of the things. They played more man in this game than I've seen them play, and they did a pretty good job. And maybe it's where I didn't give them enough credit because, see, here's where it becomes a little interesting, and this is another thing where I think the Chiefs are better man-to-man than the 49ers, right? I think they have better true cover guys. And here's one thing that I kind of played in the 49ers' favor. We've hit on this a little. The Eagles' passing attack is not complex. It's pretty simple in what it does. But it's effective because he makes the right read and the make throw, and they have talent, and because the defense always has to play something to, oh, crap, we got to stop the run, right? You don't have to be overly creative. You can just go, hey, these basic plays work because they schematically are in a bind when you're trying to stop the run and do that. Right? So the 49ers got into a little bit like we talked about last week leading up to the game. They're good at playing zones. They did a good job of trying to keep two safeties back as much as they can. Yeah, guys were fast fill. And then also like that Jimmy Ward spot, that nickelback spot, right?
Yeah, you think that position and that player is crucial in stopping the Eagles?
Crucial.
Why?
Like, he's the guy that can be, hey, wait, I'm in coverage. It's not a great look for you in coverage. Oh, wait, hey, I'm in the run box. See, it's not that great for you to run the ball either. But that's got to be a special player, one that's explosive and smart to read the plays the right way. And then, two, it better be a good damn tackler. And Jimmy Ward's he's a safety, really. He's like a safety who can play nickelback, right? And that's where I look at the Chiefs, where L'Jarius Sneed moves in, and he's a willing tackler, but there's more than just tackling in this one. You might have to take some lead blockers, right? Lower your shoulder, blow up some plays, pulling guards, stuff like that, to where and then coming off a concussion, I don't know if I want him in that spot. Sure, if it's man-to-man and we got to cover a receiver, I want him. But if you're going to try to play zones and all that, I think the Kansas City's got to bring in a third safety here. That would be my thing, right? Whether they want to put it's Brian Cook, right? The safety from Cincinnati, rookie, right? Number 6. I always forget it. It's B. Cook. I know that. But whether they want to put him down there in some of those situations, right, to where he could be like, hey, I'm covering the slot and helping out in zone, but I'm fast fill here in the run. One of the 3 safeties has to be down there. Maybe you keep him back and you put a Justin Reed or a Juan Thornhill down there. But I do think it has to be someone other than your normal nickel cover guy all the time to help out with that extra presence in the run game.
Right, because the run game, if the Eagles can run the ball effectively the Chiefs.
It's just deep shit. It's just hard. It's again, then it becomes, oh, wait, now we do have to blitz, and we're having to play too much man-to-man, and they're going to find a pick play or just throw. He's a great deep ball thrower, go route, jump ball, whatever. They're going to get to that aspect. And, of course, they're good at pass protecting, and they'll keep they'll keep an extra guy in to block to take shots down the field. So, yeah, if the run game gets out of hand, that's when they got you, by the kahunas a little bit.
So here's the $1 million question, then, and it comes from David Linsmeyer. Says, can the Chiefs' front 7 hold up against the Eagles' offensive line in the run game? Seemed like the Eagles were able to run against a stout 49ers front 7.
They ran solid. I mean,
wasn't as good as we've seen.
Exactly right. And I don't know if it would have been as good as it was if the 49ers just had an offense, if they had a quarterback that could throw the ball, right? Yeah. I mean, this is our conversation we have a lot, right? Where it's like, this defense isn't really as bad as their ranking. It's just that every 4th play they're back on the field because their offense stinks and they wear down.
You thought in the second half that defense
there was a little wearing down, and then also a little bit of like, nothing new, I'm telling you. They knew that defense had to win the game, so they started to call some defenses to go like, we got to make a play, right? And it backfired on them. I don't think they would call those plays if it was a 1-2 score game still. But it was 28-7, and they were like, we got to blitz and do this and hopefully get a fumble or we're definitely going to lose. So that led to the Eagles having some advantages on things as well. Overall, I was encouraged by what you're not going to stop the Eagles running game. You're not. It's just, can you limit how badly it gashes you? To me, if you stop them 150 or below, you've actually, to me, you've done some good things. And you have a fighting chance. When they start to get up to the 200 range and all that, then I want to go, you're screwed. And it's going to be 500 yards of total offense, and they're going to be big plays everywhere.
So what techniques might they use? Tyler Econ says, NFL poet laureate Ahmed, thank you for that, Tyler. And NFL quarterback whisperer Chris, what do the Chiefs do when playing a team that runs the ball as well as much as the Eagles? Can they play base D? Have they been forced into making adjustments like adding personnel, nose tackle, etc.?
Yeah.
So have you seen that in the past, like what the Chiefs do against a good running team?
Definitely. They're going to play some 5-man front. We've seen them do this against the Tennessee Titans, right? This is where, again, I wouldn't count this Chiefs D out because of the coaching, and we've talked about this before, right? We all know it's Mahomes and all that. They have shown they can be physical when they need to be, right? I mean, there was last week, we can take it into that example. Well, the Bengals blocked the Bills. They ran on the Bills. Chiefs were like, you. We're going to get to the quarterback and we're going to stop your run. They did it. We've seen them do it. We talked about the Titans games in the past. The 49ers in the Super Bowl had a hard time running the ball. So I do believe they'll rise to the challenge, and he'll have the right schematical things to pose a challenge to this offense. They'll play some of the bare front that we talked about. And listen, they got big people. They could put in, they put in Nandi, Chris Jones, let's say Brandon Williams or one of the other big guys they got, and now you got Karlaftis and, Frank Clark or even Mike Dana, who was awesome in the football game that we need to give love from last week.
What did you see from Mike Dana?
Well, he's got a little bit of a he's one of those pieces you need for a game like this where you go, oh, run game, he'll be awesome at defensive end. He's a bigger guy. He's strong. He's going to play good there. But then, oh, wait, pass game, he's got kind of the strength to play D-tackle and win against those guys, but then also be an athletic mismatch for them, right? So, I think they got enough depth and size to at least not get steamrolled here. Now, even within saying that, they're going to have to take some chances. And like we've talked about in weeks past, where we talked about the Chiefs last week, and they did this. Change coverages. You got to give different looks. You can't just let Joe Burrow go, oh, it's this coverage, boom, completion. Oh, it's that coverage, boom, completion. Both interceptions came off of exotic looks. A lot of their sacks came off of doing the things we talked about on social media in the pod last week. Well, you got to do that again to the Eagles, but in a little different way, right? One, sure, you want to run blitz a little bit. You want to play the five-man fronts. To me, too, the other aspect of this, and like what we were just talking about with the 49ers, you got to play some different fronts. If it's a four-man front, just don't line up in the same four-man front a few plays in a row. Because like we were talking about with Burrow, he'll get to the right plays. Sirianni and Hurts will get to the right plays in the run game if you start to be predictable in how you line up. And that's, to me, another angle you can do, too. You got to change. You can't play shade nose and a three technique, shade nose and a three technique. It's got to be some double three technique, some both head up on the guards, right, to where they can't already, oh, hey, let's get to this run play so we can get the double team here and then get up to the second level. And mess up some of the rules with some of those plays.
Create some uncertainty with that offensive line.
Uncertainty with the offensive line rather than the pass game with Burrow in that matchup. That's what Kansas City's going to have to do here.
If the Eagles are going to dominate the Chiefs,
right?
What does that look like? That just looks like they run the ball, that offensive line dominates that defensive line, and it comes through the running game, and then they can play off that running game with the passing game, the RPO game.
Right. They're just going to dominate the run game, pulling guards, pulling Kelsey. Oh, gosh. Oh, here comes the pulling guard. We got to get over there and stop it. Oh, what? Jalen Hurts kept it off the edge now. Shit. They pulled the guard and made it look like the run to the right, but he's keeping it off. And it's just the floodgates will open. And then it's going to be, oh, gosh, he fakes it. Or he even fakes his quarterback run, and now he drops back. And that was A.J. Brown's going across the middle, right? That would be the issue, that at least to me. Now, hopefully the Chiefs can find – the Chiefs, like I said, I think they can match up man-to-man maybe better than the 49ers.
Sure.
I do. I think they have more physical, gifted cover men. But I would also say within that, I hope they can find, like we were talking about with the 49ers, a way to play some zones as well and find ways to like, hey, we're playing pass coverage, but we're going to be quick to help out with the run. I think that's important as well.
What always can make it easier on your defensive secondaries if you get a little bit of a pass rush.
Right.
Addy M27 goes, hey, Simms, love the pod as always. How do you think the Chiefs' pass rush on the edge will fare versus the Eagles' tackles? Feel like Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson should be able to win those battles versus Frank Clark and George Karlaftis.
I would agree with you. I totally would agree with you there. That's, what was that? How'd you say his name?
Addy M.
Addy M. Yeah, 27. I feel like that's an advantage for the Eagles, definitely. Nick Bosa pushed Lane Johnson back as much as I've ever seen anybody push him back, right? But they don't have a Nick Bosa. They don't have that. So, it's not gonna. They're not gonna win the game with 4-man rush. We're actually just beating you man to man, right? That's not like Giants beating the Patriots in 2007. No, they're gonna have to do this more of, hey, yeah, 4-man, you got to be pretty good, but defensive coordinator Spags is going to have to find out some ways to, help it out a little bit too. Create some mismatches, make them think this guy's blitzing, he dropped out. Wait, we sent the protection here, and now we're kind of screwed over here, right? There's going to have to be that. Spags is going to have to earn his money. This is going to be a challenge in that department, and I'm excited to see what he can do. I will say, in that first that matchup last year, he did do some of that run game blitz like I was talking about that I do think caused a few problems, and the Eagles did not break the dam running the ball against them.
We've talked about the defensive tackles, the edge, some of the secondary.
Yeah.
How important will those linebackers be? Nick Bolton, Willie Gay.
They're to me the key, right? Those guys are the guys that go, oh, Jalen Hurts kept it around the edge. It's a 40-yard gain, or it's just a 4-yard gain. It's going to be on them. And then, they're going to be asked to do like a little bit double duty, I think, like what we talked about with like Fred Warner last week. Like, hey, kind of hang in the A gap, and then, if you kind of see it close up, we need you to get around the edge to help if Jalen Hurts keeps the ball around there. They're super athletic. They're the kind of group that athletically can do it.
They popped in that Bengals game for you.
They do. They pop big time. They played that game like the 49ers linebackers always play. And we've hit on this before, where it's just they didn't like go, oh, there's my gap, let me just stay in my gap. They were like, no, there's the gap, run through it and go right in the backfield. Go. More than likely, the running back's going to be running through it. He's seeing that same gap. So just run through. And even if he's not in the gap, now he's, oh, wait, I got to stop and redirect, and now other guys get there. Right? They were phenomenal in the football game. They really were. And I think they're an underrated duo, in my opinion.
Mike Dana, Bolton, all these guys are kind of it'll be interesting to see who steps up, who's the name that makes a play that maybe we're not thinking about right now, or actually we are on Monday before the Super Bowl comes up here. I feel like there's a couple more things here on this side of the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, this is it.
Yeah.
One point that you think should be a point of emphasis for the Chiefs on defense is getting their hands up into maybe some of the passing lanes for Jalen Hurts. Why did you note that?
Well, when you break down the Eagles, there's no in between, right? There's no in between throws. It's either a 5-yard stick route, a hitch route, or slant route, or we just throw a go route down the middle of the field, right? And a lot of the times you can't get there. Like we've talked about with Tua and the Dolphins. They kind of fake a run, right? And so everybody's kind of like going, oh, wait, I got to stop the run. And then he has the ball, and you're like, oh, shit, now I got to pass rush, right? And it's hard to kind of restart and actually get to the quarterback that way. Well, you got to have some eyes and some vision in this kind of game, because he's going to do that, and it's going to be A.J. Brown here, do that, and there's Dallas Goedert there. So you got to ask your D lineman to have great disciplined eyes in this game. Hey, he doesn't keep the ball. You're not going to get there. Get hands up in the passing lane. He has a very slow release. It's a long, elongated release. You can see it. And that, to me, is one way where you can compound, or at least take a little bit of edge off of everything they do and give them some issues there.
So that's big.
That's definitely big.
Stopping those one-on-one deep balls.
That's going to be a big thing.
That seems like the last thing that we haven't talked about on that side of the ball that could wreck this game for the Chiefs defense.
Definitely. Now, they got, like we saw last week, they're not outclassed by anybody. I'm not saying they're going to make every play, but even on T. Higgins' jump ball touchdown, right? Like the Chiefs were there. It wasn't like, whoa, T. Higgins just burned him and he was gone. Even Jamar Chase post down the middle of the field, right? They were there. Yeah. He just made a great play.
Yeah, their ball skills weren't up to par.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. But so I have a hard time thinking like A.J. Brown's just going to blow by them. It's just going to be, can they make the play to knock the ball down or do that or tip the ball up in the air so a friend can get an interception or whatever. But, hey, I will say, and the 49ers showed this too, obvious passing situations, if you can get, Philadelphia to where you can get some third and longs on that, you can give them, again, like I've told you, it's not a overly like, oh, wow, these plays are amazing. It's kind of just, hey, they do it with their players. They execute. He makes the right read and throw, and that's it. But, I do think that's a point where that could be an advantage for them. And especially from what I saw last week and them willing to take tactical chances and double guys and do coverages. And, it's, the way they varied things and double chase in big moments and all of that. I think that's where Spags and the Chiefs will have an advantage if they can get the Eagles in those positions.
They got a lot of tricks, that defense for the Chiefs. And I think you noted one of the more interesting ones on the first interception by Joe Burrow, because it's almost a throwback to something they maybe had seen Someone else, Stuart, they did earlier.
Right.
I think this was one of the more interesting points that you made. So
like
if you could just go back to that first interception by Joe Burrow and what made it so interesting to you.
Yeah, well, like just both interceptions were exotic defenses where you just go, these aren't normal. These are like game plan specific because they're worried about these guys and or where they're lined up. They know they like to throw to these guys in this position. So, they got there, and I believe that was a third down, right? I think I wrote it down. Let me just make sure I got this in my notes here. But, yeah, it's a 3rd and 2, right? So they're worried about, hey, 4 or 5 yard pass just to get the first down. Maybe could even run, right? So they got kind of people at the line of scrimmage, and so they're ready to take away some of that. But they basically played like no safety in the middle of the field, right? So it looked like it was going to be like, hey, it's just man-to-man with a safety deep in the middle, right? And as he's blue 45, it starts to come, and you're going, whoa, this safety's like, he's coming over here to double. He's in a double chase, right? So they doubled Chase, and then they doubled Irwin, which I know people are going to go, why would they double Irwin? It's not about the player. It's about the position. I'm sure they had things where go, wait, Chase, we know he likes to throw him. And then they like to throw, there's 3 receivers on the other side. They like to throw to the inside 3 of the receivers in these big moments, right? I would guarantee there was a breakdown of that. So they doubled both of those guys with no safety in the middle of the field. And, of course, he throws it up. He's got a little pressure, right? And T. Higgins doesn't know where to break, right? I butchered that for a second. So Chase is doubled, Irwin's doubled, Higgins is the middle of the 3 receivers. He's man-to-man, but now they've pressured, doubled, and he's got to throw it before he wants to, but because of that pressure and the odd look, T. Higgins didn't know whether to go inside or outside. Joe threw it inside. T. Higgins went outside. Interception. I'm just saying those are the calculated chances. I bumbled that at the end there, but I finally got to it.
Where had you seen that before?
Oh, that's where I was trying to get to. The Chiefs, they had this done to them in the 2018 AFC Championship game by the Patriots. The game where they couldn't score in the first half, if everybody remembers. I think the Patriots went in 14-0. And it was literally like I had never seen it, where I went, whoa, they're making it look like single safety, but the single safety is actually doubling Tyreek Hill every play. And there's no safety in the middle of the field. And it took the Chiefs a while to figure it out and go, wait, what the hell are they doing? What are they playing here? So, yeah, they kind of gave it back to somebody else and a little payback.
Keep your eye out for that. Throwbacks to football of bygone days.
The second interception, you saw that too, right? It was throw it up to T. Higgins. He was doubled. One guy got his hand on it. The other guy that was there doubling him. He makes the play. So that to me is going to have to be a part. And that's to me where Spags is special and where they can give the Eagles problems. But can they keep the Eagles in 3rd and 5+? That's key.
That's another key.
Right. Thanks for watching, homies. Hit subscribe to see all my Unbuttoned videos. You get to see me, Ahmed Fareed, all the big player breakdowns, game breakdowns, player interviews, and my film analysis. So please subscribe. Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Peace out.